The Witch's Dream Book and Fortune Teller by A. H. No. Part 14. Divination by the birds of the air and the beasts of the field. It hath been duly observed, by the learned in all ages of the world, that our all-wise and beneficent Creator originally implanted in the frame of nature a means whereby mankind may attain to the knowledge of such future contingencies as concern their welfare and happiness, and, more especially, since we observe, even in the brute creation, that even the most inconsiderable creatures upon the earth are more or less endowed with a gift of foreknowledge. Thus the industrious bee, and laborious ant, lay in their summer store, in order to supply the necessary wants of an inclement winter, which they foreknow is yet to come. Yet, even of all the whole race of reptiles, the ant, the spider, and the bee, appear to be endowed with the greatest share of sagacity. The wisdom of the ants is conspicuous in forming themselves into a kind of republic and therein observing, as it were, their own peculiar laws and policies, but the cunning of the spider seems to exceed that of most other insects. Its various artifices to ensnare its prey is no less remarkable than its contrivance of a cell or retreat behind its web, where it feasts upon its game in safety and conceals the fragments of those carcasses it has devoured, without exposing to public view the least remains of its barbarity, which might tend to distinguish its place of abode, or create the least jealousy in any sect, that their enemy was near. Into what history can we look to find people who are governed by laws equal to what we observe in the Republic of Bees? What experience can we desire beyond what we observe in the cunning spider? To teach us to guard against the artifices of those who lay snares to catch the thoughtless and unwary? Or what can exceed the indefatigable ant, in teaching us lessons of frugality and industry? The badger, the hedgehog and the mole also provide themselves a magazine of plants and herbs, which they foreknow will enable them to lie concealed in their holes during the hard frosts of winter, contented with their prison, which affords them safety. Their holes are constructed with amazing art, and generally have two apertures, that in case one should be beset by an enemy, they may escape by the other. The doublings by the hare, the tricks of the fox to escape the hounds, are also astonishing indications of foresight and sagacity. The feathered race are likewise endowed with a similar faculty and often foretell an approaching storm a considerable time before it appears, by retiring in flocks to their holes and hiding places for shelter and protection. The birds of passage seem to inherit this gift in a remarkable degree, for they assemble together in prodigious flocks at an appointed hour, and take their leave before the approach of winter, which they see will destroy the flies and insects, as they feed on nothing else. And it is no less extraordinary than true, that these birds return as early as the sun brings forth this class of insects into new life, and they have also the sagacity to find out and possess their old nests and habitations. The wise, provident forecast for self-preservation and safety is even extended to the innumerable inhabitants of the immense ocean, where we see the fishes, pressed by unceasing hunger, indiscriminately prey upon one another, the large upon the small, even of its own species. Whence the smaller fish in regular gradations, when in danger of being devoured, fly for an asylum to the shallow waters, where they know their enemy either cannot or dare not come to pursue them. And this pursuit of one species of fish after another, is by no means confined to a single region, for we find shoals of them pursuing one another, from the vicinity of the pole even down to the equator, and thus the cod from the banks of the Newfoundland pursues the whiting, which flies before it, even to the southern shores of Spain. It is astonishing also, that herrings, which appear to generate towards the north of Scotland, regularly make their way once a year to the British Channel. Their voyage is conducted with the utmost regularity, and the time of their departure is fixed from the month of June to August. They always assemble together before they set out, and no stragglers are ever found from the general body. It is impossible to assign any cause for this emigration, but it doubtless proceeds from the same instinctive impulse with which all orders of animated nature are more or less imbued. Now observe, that when you go out of your house to do or transact any kind of business, and in the way you do see a man, or a bird going or flying, so that either of them do set themselves before you on your right hand, that is a good signification in reference to your business. But when you shall go out of your house on any business whatsoever, and shall see a bird or a man before you on the left side of you, it is an ill sign in reference to your said business. When either a man or a bird shall thus pass before you, coming from the right side of you and bending towards the left, goeth out of your sight, that is a good sign concerning your business. When you do find a man going, or a bird flying, and then he rests himself before you on your right side, and you seeing it, this is also a good sign of success in your business. But when you see a man or a bird bending from your right side to your left, it is an ill sign concerning your business, when a man or a bird comes behind you, and goes faster than you, but before he cometh at you he rests, or the same before you came at him, he rests, and you seeing him on your right side, it is to you a good sign. But when this happens on the left side, it is an evil sign. When a man or a bird, coming from your left side, and passing to the right, goeth out of your sight without resting, it is a good sign. If a man or bird, coming from your right hand, passing behind your back to the left, and you see him resting anywhere, this is an evil sign. All the auspicia which first happeneth in the beginning of any business, ought not to be taken notice of, as if in the beginning of any work you find that rats have been gnawing your clothes, then insist upon your undertakings. If, on going out of your house, you happen to stumble on the threshold, or if in the way you happen to dash your foot against anything, then forbear your journey. If any ill omen ever happens at the beginning of your business, then put it off for a while, lest you be completely disappointed therein. If a crow, raven, or a jackdaw do croak over any person, it doth show much evil of a serious nature. The magpie informs you that you will soon hear news and come into company, but whether such news be good or bad, observe whether it comes from the right hand or the left. The screech owl is always unfortunate, for, about the October 17th, 1807, Grantham Church was a repository for a number of owls every evening, for about 1 month, when it followed that, before that time next year, the same church was actually robbed of all its plate and money, to a large amount, by a gang of villains, in the dead of the night, to the great loss and detriment of the whole parish. If you meet sparrows, it is unfortunate, except for love. Flies indicate importunity and impudent affronts. Cocks meeting you, or crowing against your house, inform you of visitors coming and success in your journeys and business. If you meet a hare, a mule, or a hog, it is an ill omen. To meet horses in a carriage is good, but if you meet an ass, expect trouble, while to meet sheep and goats is very good and indicates prosperity in your affairs. If you either meet a dog or oxen, you may expect the same success, for it is good. Mice indicate that you will soon meet with danger. Locusts making a stand in any place, hindereth a person from their wishes and is an ill omen. On the contrary, grasshoppers promote a journey and foretell a good event of things. The spider weaving a line downwards, signifies hope of money to come, as also the ants having a nest near your door is good, because they know how to provide for themselves, and portend security and riches. If you meet with a snake, take care of an ill-tongued enemy. A viper signifies lewd women and wicked children. An eel shows a man that is displeased with everybody. But of all the various auspices and omens, there is none more effectual and potent than man, none that doth signify the truth more clearly. You must, therefore, diligently note and duly observe the condition of that man you meet, or that meeteth you, his age, profession, station, gesture, motion, exercise, complexion, habit, name, words, speech, etc., for, seeing there are in all other animals so many discoveries or presages, yet those are all more efficacious and clear which are infused into the soul of man. Thus concludes Part 14 of the Witch's Dream Book and Fortune Teller. Next up is Part 15, Physiognomy Part 2 and The Way to Get Rich. There are many more selections at Weird Audiobooks, so feel free to stop by. And if you liked the video, consider subscribing.